The coronavirus outbreak has been a baptism of fire for on-demand healthcare platform Homage. In the past months, the firm has been at the heart of Singapore's COVID-19 detection initiative.
We were one of the providers that were part of the national effort to deliver screening at migrant worker dormitories for that community. And of course, now we're also doing delivering swab tests for those who have been issued SHN. Never has this time been more critical in terms of the need of a on-demand, decentralized way of providing care and screening, in health screening and detection services.
At its core, Homage is an app where users can book home and community-based care services for the elderly. But since the outbreak, Homage has built a team of 300 COVID-19 responders and expanded to run mobile nursing stations and telemedicine clinics. Homage started in 2016. After years of living in the US, its co-founder Gillian T came back to Singapore and saw a gap in care services for her relatives with chronic diseases.
The journey that we went through together as a family to look for caregivers really was very untouched by technology. It was the process was very opaque, long waiting times. Awareness level was very low, and we didn't really know what we needed.
For months, Gillian and her team studied caregiver data sets to better personalize care services in the app. Homage is now a team of 70 people across Singapore and Malaysia. Tapping into venture capital funding was key in reaching that milestone.
It's absolutely a pillar, enabler for growth of what we're doing. You build a strong partnership with an investor that shares your vision, and it compounds because they know people and they can connect you with their network, and beyond that, provide strategic advice.
Golden Gate Ventures took part in Homage's $1.2 million seed funding round in 2017. The early-stage venture capital fund says Homage ticked all the key qualities it looks for in startups.
The value proposition, what's the product or service that you're selling? The market size, like how massive is this opportunity? And then the team. Who are the founders? What's their domain expertise? Can they understand the pain point particularly well? And can they build a product and team off of that? On top of that, it would be traction. Like, now that we've created this product or service, are customers buying it?
From raising up to $25,000 via angel investors, Homage has since completed several funding rounds, closing its B series early this year. It's among a few Singapore-based digital health firms that raised capital amid an overall industry slowdown.
There have been 4,500 venture capital deals concluded in Asia in 2020 for about $70 billion. And while that is a fall from 2018, 2019, what you're now starting to see is that in Q3 20, activity was essentially the same as 2019. So I would say in the whole, a dip as you would expect, but a very strong comeback and very good activity levels at the moment.
KPMG says tech-related ventures continue to draw strong backing.
There is no shortage of private equity and venture capital money in Asia Pacific. There is now $1.3 trillion of funds under management in this sector. The 2016-17 vintages of private equity funds are showing 30% annual returns. But I would caution that plenty of investors in startup companies and venture capital end up with zero.
Venture capital is an extremely risky asset class. Fortunately, that's something that's sort of baked into the model, where our investors, as well as the GPs or the general partners at these funds, understand that many of these companies, by right, may fail. But long term, the winners, the multiples on that, the amount of money generated from the exits, whether they go public or be acquired, that more than outweighs the losses.
So far, the pandemic has not affected Golden Gate Ventures' investment pace.
Just because this pandemic is affecting markets in Southeast Asia does not mean that there aren't good entrepreneurs that are still growing their company, that are still thinking about different problems and solutions and building a product off of that.
Still, venture capital funding in digital health fell nearly 50% in the first half of this year, with early startups seeing the biggest decline.
I think the future is certainly bright in terms of funding, but I think it's really a question of investors having, over the last 6 to 9 months, decided to focus on their existing investment portfolio rather than necessarily making new deals.
For remote care apps like Homage, some say the pandemic presents challenges, as the elderly are a high-risk group for COVID-19.
You are going to have an immediate concern of visitors to your parent, for example, through an app, and ensuring that those visitors, of course, have a certain level of health and safety so as to protect your elderly. So I think it's probably more complex for platforms like Homage to navigate in a current system.
Challenges aside, Homage is leveraging on its COVID-19 team response and will pursue more public and private partnerships in its regional expansion. Asia's aging population presents a big market for Homage.
We're looking at about 500 to 600,000 seniors aged 65 and above in Singapore. By 2030, across Asia Pacific, there is that tipping point where most, if not all, of the countries are moving from, being an aging nation to an aged nation, and that threshold is at 15% of the total population being, aged 65 and above.